So once we're done with this, we need to make sure that this design looks just like what we have in our design here with the gradients and everything. So we're going to start checking our movie screen and see what we are doing wrong. So we're going to start by saying this is going to be, okay, we have a typo error here, which is supposed to be space of y of 3, and it should give this all the required spacing, and you can see there are spaces here already. So after that, we're also going to say we want to have something here, and what we want to have is a star, which will separate what we have in the popularity with what we have with this as well. So you can see the star right here, and also you're going to see that we need to add it also here. Let's just copy it, and after this, we're also going to have it right here, or empty rather, and we're going to have, after this, we're going to have this here. Save that. We're going to have this here. So if you go back, I will click on Barbie. We're going to see the Barbie image. And once this is ready, I want to make sure that we also work on our bottom navigation before we work on the cast. So as you can see the search here and also the saved here. I want us to work on that first. So in this search screen, just here, let's just collapse this and close whatever we don't need for now. We're going to say, inside of this search screen, the first thing we're going to have is a view just like this. We're going to say class name is going to be flex of 1, also relative. And next we're going to have here is an image. And this image, we're just going to import it from React Native right here. And this image is going to have, we're going to say the source is going to be require this. We want this instead home screen 2.png. Save that, and you should see our background image right here. Also, we're going to say the style, and in the style we're going to say width is going to be width. Also, height is going to be height as well. And it says we doesn't exist. We're going to just import that right here and import that right away. As you can see, these are cool looking background for the search. And after that, we're going to say, after this image, we're going to have our search inputs. Inside of our search inputs, we're going to say the view class name is going to be mx of 4, margin bottom of 3, margin top of 8, flex of row, padding of 1, justify, between, items of center, background of white, rounded of large. Save that, and you should be good to go. Then after this, we're going to have a text input, and inside of this text input, you're going to have an unchange text, and this is going to be assigned to undo text the bounds, which is a function we're going to create any minute from now. So after this, we're going to say the placeholder is going to be search for your favorite movies. Let's first create this function, because once we click here, it's going to throw an error that it doesn't exist. Anyway, let's first import this text input, and also we're going to say const undo text the bounds is going to use callback, and we're going to say the bounds are going to say undo search, which is a function we're going to create now, and 400, which is the time for it, and also set to an empty dependencies. Now we need to create most of these things right here. So the first thing is say we're going to copy this outside of this and bring this to the top, and we're going to say use callback from React. So what this is basically saying is After like 4 milliseconds, that is when you should make sure that you search for whatever the user search for. Normally, if you type into the text input, it is going to search immediately, but we don't want that. We only want to search after 4 milliseconds. So if you go up here, so up here, we're going to create some set of things. We're going to say navigation is going to be use navigation. We're going to assign it to this method here. Now, this is where we create our undo search function. We're going to say const undo search is going to be assigned to search. And also, we're going to have if search is true, and also search dot length is greater than 2, then we want to have this function. We want to set loading. We want to set it to true. And up here, we're going to say const loading, which is a state. We're going to set it to false by default. Also, we want to create another state called results, and also set results to use state of an empty array. Also, if you just click it, we're going to see what you're working on in a minute. It says use state doesn't exist. Import that. Click on search. And it says the bounce doesn't exist. And the bounce is coming from a package called Lodash. So you head back to our package. As you can see here, Lodash. We're just going to copy this. We're just going to install this right here. Paste this, install it. And once we install this, we can as well just go to the top of our code and say import the bounce from Lodash. And once it's installed, our code should work without throwing the next error of the bounce here. So after installing, we're just going to bring this down. And we're going to go back to our search page. So after this, we're going to say place order is going to be gray, the color, and the class name as well is going to be not this, but padding bottom of 1, padding left of 6, flex of 1, font of medium, also text of black, tracking of widest or wider instead. Save that and continue with our code. It's saying error while updating property placeholder in this. Well, all we have to do is just put these inside curly braces and that should fix our issue. So let's just reload and continue with our code right here. So we're going to have a touchable opacity. And inside of this touchable opacity, we're going to have an onPress. We're going to say navigation dot navigate, not go back, but we want to navigate to our home when we click on the back button or the X button we are going to have just here. We're still getting an error. Touchable opacity doesn't exist. How I wish all these are imported automatic. And if nothing is still showing, then we need to set something here in our image. It seems it is covering our information. Save that, and you can see our text right here and the text inputs. So the next thing we have to do is say inside of this, we want to have an icon of X mark icon from React Hero icons, and it's going to have the size of 25. Also, the color is going to be white. We're going to remove this text because we don't need it. And as you can see, this is our X icon here. If you click that, it's going to take back to home. So we don't want this to be scattered like this. There is a design issue here. And all we have to do is just copy this or cut this. Instead of our text input, after touchable opacity, let's have this here. And that should work right away. Look at that. And also, while we're moving on, we're going to say after this view, so inside of this, we're going to say if loading is true, then we're going to show the loading components that we created earlier, import that. And also we're going to say else if the result dot length is greater than 0, then we're going to show scroll view. And also, we're going to just close this off right here. And after this, we're going to say else. Let's just show an empty string for now. We're going to replace that any minute from now. And also, we're going to say inside of this scroll view, we want to have some properties. And the first property is say shows vertical scroll indicator to be false, content, container style to be padding of horizontal to be not 10 but 15. Also, the class name is going to be space y of 6. Moving on, we're going to say if text is going to be here, then we need to have a class name to be text white, font of semi-bold, margin left of 1, text of large, margin top of 2. Save that. And after that, we're going to say results dot length, and we're going to have a result text or string here. After that, we're going to say we still want a view after this, and this view is going to have a class name of flex of row, justify of between, flex of wrap, and here we're going to say results dot map is going to be item, then index, and here we're going to say map through the results, and also we're going to have a touchable without feedback, and also we're going to say key is going to be index. Also, we're going to say we want to have an onPress here, and after this we're going to have an arrow function saying navigation dot push. That's going to be movie, and we don't need all this, and also we only need to pass the item here. So if you get his result here and the card gets shown, if you click it, it's going to take us back to the movie detail screen. And so next thing we're going to do here is say we want to have a view, and this view is going to have a class name, and it's going to be space y of 2, margin bottom of 4. Save that. And inside of this we're going to have an image, and we're just going to import it. Okay, that looks like it has been imported already. We're going to say source is going to be URI. We're going to use the image 500 parts that we normally use. We're going to import it. It seems that we've imported it right here. Okay, so next we are going to do is say this has a class name, and the class name is going to be rounded, not large but 3XL. Also, we're going to be saying the style is going to be the width. It's going to be width multiplied by 0.44, and also height is going to be height of 0.3. Save that. Also, after this, we want to have a text, and we want to have a class name, and under this we're going to say text of gray, 300 by the way, font of bold, text of large, margin left of 1, and under this we're going to say if item.title.length is greater than 19, then we're going to use a ternary operator here saying slice it from 0 to 19. Also add these 3 dots, and also just if this is not true, then just set it as item.title, and we just leave this as it is right now. So our search component is ready. We just need to implement the undo search function. But to implement this, we still need to do some things first. But let's just go ahead and set everything up, and we can start importing. We're going to say search movies, which is a function we are going to create in our movies API. We're going to say the query is going to be search, which is coming from the search that we have here. Also, we're going to say if it include adults, set it to false. Language is going to be default of English. Page is going to be one, and everything I'm typing here is available on the movie website, and you can browse through them and see what you want. We're going to say then the data is this, but also console.log, and say we got our search results. Save that, and after this we're going to set loading to false, and after that we're going to say if we have our data and also we have the data dot results, then we're going to set results to data dot results. So for this to work, we need to import a search movie function in our movie API, and we've not created that yet. So we're going to head up and create the endpoint for that. We're going to say const search movies endpoint is going to be equal to, we're just going to use this like this. We're going to say API base URL, and we're going to say search, then movie, then API key, and also assign this to the API key. So that is how our search movies endpoint works. So at the last part of this, we're going to say export const search movies. We're going to assign it to params, which is a parameter and an arrow function saying return movie API, and set this to it. And we're going to go back into our code, which is the search screen here. We're going to import this. And once we import that, let's just go back to home, go back here. And if we search for something, let's say avatar, we should see our avatar in a minute. But if you don't see it, it says scroll view doesn't exist. Ouch. That is an error from our end. We're just going to import that right away. Let's see again. Touchable without feedback. It seems we've imported that already. Image, let's check. I think we're ready. So go back to your search and type avatar. And after searching that, it shows we have 20 results, but they are not displaying here. Then it shows we are not returning it properly. So we check our return statement right here. Inside of our map, we need to return something. My bad, that is a big error. So after this, we're just going to say paste this, and you see our avatar movies one by one, as you can see right here. Although it seems that we're not displaying this in a row, so we're just going to say flex of row, save that, and this should display in a row already. As you can see, all our avatar movie. So after working on the search screen, I want us to work on the saved screen as well, which is this. And we're going to be pulling all data from async storage. So if we head back to our saved screen, we want to be able to, let's just go back to the home screen, click on Barbie. So whenever we select this art icon, it is going to save this specific movie into async storage. And then when we head back and go into saved, we're going to see the movie that we just saved right here. So to do that, I'm just going to work on the movie screen first and set the functions for that in a minute. And under this, I'm going to say, let's head back to our home component and select. So to get started with implementing this and saving this particular movie into our async storage, we need to be able to use a package first to solve that. And the package is React Native async storage async. So we're just going to copy that. And we're just going to head back into our terminal and paste this right here. And let's just minimize this for now. And also, while we're done with the search screen, let's just close that. And also, and all we have to do is just say at the top, import async storage from React Native async storage. And under here, we're going to say, this is going to be function to add movie to saved screen. So to start, we're going to say create a constant of the name toggle favorite and save. We're going to say async. It's an async function. And we're going to try several things and also catch for errors. So we're going to say try and also catch whatever error that we might get. We're just going to console.log the error and pass the error as a parameter here. We're going to say error. So instead of the try, let's just go back to the home screen so we can continue working here. So first things first, we're going to say check if the movie is already in saved screen, not saved screen, but storage. Then we're going to say create a constant called saved movies. We're going to say it is an await. We're going to assign async storage dot get item. So we're going to get all the item inside of async, which is named as saved movies. And after this, we're going to say let saved movies array be equal to saved movies. Using a ternary operator, we're going to say JSON dot pass saved movies, else save it an empty array. So if saved movie is true, which is this, when you get the items, then just pass the saved movies that you get, else just save it as an empty array. Then just say console dot log, because we want to be able to check if the movie is already saved. This is how we're going to track how this function works. And after that, next thing we're going to say is check if the movie is already in the saved list. And we're going to create a variable called const is movie saved. Then we're going to save or assign these movies array that we just created here. We're going to assign it to this is movie saved variable. We're going to say to some method, and we're going to say this is going to have saved movie as the parameter, and also an arrow saying saved movie dot id is equal to, which is strictly equal to item dot id. So we are checking if this specific movie that we saved in our movies array, if the ID is equal to the ID of the specific movie ID that we're getting here. Remember that we're using the specific item ID, that is specific movie ID, to pull the movie details and all. So we're going to use the same ID here to check if the same ID is the same as the one we have saved in our async. Then after that, we're going to say just console.log something, console.log, and say check if the movie is already in the saved lists. After that, so we're just going to say console, this is console.log. Then after this, we're going to say if, we're just going to put something in real quick by saying if else statement. So inside of this, we're going to say if is movie is, if movie saved is not true, then if movie, which is just a comment here, if movie is not saved, add it to the list. Then we're going to say saved movie array dot push, which is an array method. Push is an array method, and we're going to add the movie to it. So if the movie is not saved, just save this specific movie inside this array. And also an await saying async storage dot set item. And we're going to set which specific items saved movies. And also we're going to say JSON.stringify saved movies array. Save that. So after pushing into this array, we're also going to save it inside the async storage. Then after that, in the last part here, we're going to say the toggle favorite. This toggle favorite is going to be set to true. Do we have that created yet? Let's see. So we don't have that save here. We're just going to create a state saying is saved and toggle favorite, then use state to be false. So we head back to our function here and we've set that up already. And after this, console.log saying movie is added to the list of saved movies. Then inside of our else statement, we're going to say, okay, if this all this is not true, then else this is what you're going to do. We're going to say if movie is already saved, then we want to remove it from the list, and we're going to say create a variable called updated saved movies array. We're going to assign that to the same saved movies array that we already created here, and we're going to filter using the filter array method, and we're going to filter based on the saved movie and also based on the saved movie .id. If it is not equal to item.id, we're going to use an await here that said async storage.set item, and we're going to say save the movies and also json.stringify. We're going to say toggle favorite is going to be false. We're going to console.log this by saying movie is removed from the list of saved movies. And why is this throwing an error? Because we need to put all this outside this. Good. We're only setting the items here. We can't have any console.log. We're also setting our state inside of this. And after that, we're done with our main function here. Now, whenever we get into each movie screen, we want to set up a use effect. And this use effect is going to say, we're going to have a comment here that says load saved movies from async storage when the component mount. Inside of this, we're going to create a variable called const of load saved movies, and it's going to be an async function as well. And we're going to do this. We're going to try as well and also catch something, catch the errors, obviously, catch the error and console.log the specific error we are getting. So in this use effect, we're going to say this is what we're going to try. Create a variable called saved movies and use an await and say async storage.get items. So immediately we land on each movie. Let's first get all the items that we have saved in our async, and also create a variable called saved movies array. And if this saved movies array is true, then just pass the saved movie. Else, just set it to an empty array. And after that, we want to check. Let's create a comment here that says check if the movie is already in the saved list. We're going to say const is movie saved, saved movies array dot sum, and we're going to say we have saved movie as the property here, and saved movie.id is assigned to item.id. So this is just checking if the movie is already in the saved list. That is the specific movie item ID and the saved movie ID that we have. Does it relate? Is it equal to each other? Then we're going to save it inside this. And also, we're just going to toggle favorite to be a saved movie, and also console.log it. If we console.log it, we're going to say check if the current movie is in the saved list. Let's just remove that single quote. And also our use effect is ready. So finally, we're going to be calling the function that we just created here, which is load saved movies, which is this function right here. And also this dependency, we have item.id as a dependency here. So anytime we click on each specific movie, it is going to run this use effects and we'll be ready to go. So the next thing is to just assign this function that we create here. We're going to assign it to our favorite icon here. We're going to say on press. So inside of this on press, we're just going to say toggle favorite and save. So if you click, we want to first make sure that this color is just not set to white, but based on a property. I will say is favorite. If its favorite is true, then just set this to red. Else, just set this to white so that we don't have a fixed white there, and make sure that we are getting all the movies right here. So the first time we're going to head back to our save screen and just pull all the movies first. So inside of our save screen, we're going to create a const navigation using use navigation. And we're going to import this right here. We're going to say const an array of saved movies, and this is going to be a use state, by the way. We're setting it to an empty array. And also we're going to say we're going to be using use focus effect, and we're going to say also we want to use callback hook. And after this, we're going to have this also an empty dependencies for now. So after this, we're going to say have a comment here, say load saved image or movies rather from async storage when the screen gains focused. So whenever I focused on this screen, this is going to run immediately. And we're going to say const load saved movies is going to be an async function. And we're going to say try, and also this is not supposed to be here, and also catch the errors that we might have. So it seems we are breaking our code here. Okay, that works. So inside of this try, we're going to say some things like create a variable of const saved movies is equal to await async storage dot get items. We are going to get the saved movies item, and also create a variable called saved movies array. And this is going to say if saved movie is true, then just pass the saved movie and also pass it as JSON, and also set it to an empty array. And we also are going to set saved movies to be saved movies array. And finally, we're going to say console.log and say pull saved movie from async storage. Just remove that single quote. And also, we're just going to call this function we have right here. And also, we're going to set the dependency here to be navigation. So whenever we navigate here, this is going to be called every time. So whenever we navigate to the save screen, this use focus effect is going to be called. And also we want to have a function so that in case we have a lot of movies saved in our save screen, we need to be able to clear them and maybe add some other ones. So we're going to create another function here called const clear saved movies. It's going to be an async as well. So we're going to try and also going to catch something, and we're going to catch the error. So this is going to be an await async storage to remove item. So we're going to remove the saved item from storage. And we're going to set saved movies to be an empty array. And also we're going to console.log saying clear all saved movies. Then finally under this, we're going to say console.log. We're going to say error clearing saved movies, and this is not going to have a backticks at the back, just this. So our clear saved movie function is set. All we have to do is just set all the other things that we need to set. It said use state doesn't exist. We're just going to import that real quick. Also use callback. Let's see if we have that already. It seems we do. Use focus. We have that already. So if we head into our saved screen, let's start implementing the design for the saved screen. So while here, this is how the design for our saved screen is going to look like. We have all the movies that we save in the storage, and also if you click on collect, it's going to remove all these movies. So the next thing we're going to say is let's have a scroll view inside of this scroll view. Let's just import that. Okay, that already exists. And we're going to have a view here. And in this view, we're going to have an image. We're just going to import that real quick. Then inside of this, we're going to say we want a class name here to be relative and also flex of 1. And inside of this image, let's just remove this text for now. And inside of this image, we're going to say the source is going to be, we're going to require a specific image that we have saved. And this is going to be called home screen 2.png. Also, it says home screen 2 doesn't exist. Well, let's just use 1 then. Let's see if that works. Okay, that doesn't seem to work as well. Let's just make sure this path is correct. Let's just do this. Well, okay, that works. And you can see our image right here. So after that, we're going to say this is going to have a view. And inside of this view, we're going to say class name is going to be margin top of 12 and also padding of 4. We forgot to add some style here. So the style for this is going to be flex of 1. We're going to say resize mode, not inside of this. Let's just have our width here first. We're going to say our width is going to be 100%. Also, the height is going to be 100%. Let's just put a comma here to make sure that works. And also, we want to have a resize mode to be cover. Save that. So, this is not going to actually be an image, but it's going to be an image background from React Native. And you can see it right here. It's quite different from image. And also, moving on, we're going to have a view here. And this view is going to have a class name. And this is going to be margin top of 12 and also padding of 4. As you can see, our image is coming out gradually. And also, we're going to say this is going to be a view. And this view, we have the following properties as the class name: flex of row, justify of between, items of center. And also inside of this, we're going to have a text. And this text is going to have a class name. And this is going to say font bold, text of XL, text of white. And inside of this text, we're going to say saved movies, save that. And also under this text, we're going to say we want a touchable opacity. And this is going to be like this. And we're going to assign the function that we just created here, which is aggressive movies. And inside of this touchable opacity, it says it doesn't exist. Let's just import that right away. Then inside of this, we're going to say we want a text. And the text is going to say just clear. And also the class name is going to be font of bold, text of large, text of white as well. Save that. And you should see that any moment from now. You can see this as well. So this is going to have a background BG blue of 800, PY of 2, PX of 4, rounded of large. Save that and you see that right away. So next thing we're going to say is, okay, so under this view, we also want a view, and this view is going to say class name is going to be flex of row, justify between, then flex wrap right here. And this is where we're going to be pulling all our movies. So inside of this is where we're going to be mapping through all our items. We're going to say saved movies dot map, and we're going to have a movie as the parameter here and also an index for each specific movie. And also we're going to assign it to an arrow, and inside of this, we're going to say we want to have a view. We want to have a view, and this view is going to have the following properties, which is class name. And the first one on the list is going to be flex of row, margin top of 4. And also it's going to have a key that is going to be the index right here, because that is unique. And inside of this view, we're going to create a view as well. And this view is going to work like this. So this is going to have a class name. So after this, we're going to have a touchable, we're going to have a touchable opacity. Inside of this is going to have a key known as index. And also we want to have an onPress. And this onPress is going to be an arrow function, which we're going to say navigation dot push to the movie screen, and also pass all the movie information. Then also we're going to have an image right here. We want to have an image right here. And inside of this image, we're going to say it has a source. And this source is going to be URI. And we're going to be using the image 500 function that we created in our API. Let's just import that. And also, we want to have a class name to be width of 40, height of 48, and rounded is going to be 3XL. Save that. Also, we want to have a style, and the style is going to be width, and the width is going to be width multiplied by 0.41, and also have an height, and the height is going to be height multiplied by 0.25. We're just going to import width real quick here. We're going to see const width is coming from dimensions that get, and import that real quick. So after that, it seems there's an error here. It's not supposed to be this, but const. Good. So we are not importing these. We don't need this at all. So after this, we should be getting our images one by one. And you can see these are the saved movies that we saved already. And we're just going to have their text under them. So after this, we're just going to say text. And we're going to say the class name for this text is going to be text of gray 300, font of bold, text of large, margin left of 1. And inside of this, we're going to be pulling all our movie by saying movie.title.length. If it is greater than 15, then we're going to say movie.title.slice. And this is going to slice from 0 to 15. And it's going to add 3 dots after it. But we're not going to slice again. But just set this to movie.title. And we should be good to go. So if we head back to our saved screen, you're going to see the movies as well as the title. So it seems that we're almost ready. We just need to make sure that the styling here is properly done. So we just might need to copy the styling here, remove this, and also head back to where we have our view here. So it seems we need to just remove this because our styling here doesn't look good at all, like what we have right here. So we just need to cut this view right here, and just to make sure we find this, and just put this here, and let's see how that works. Okay, that looks good already. So if we go back to our home and we check Blue Beetles, and we just click on this, we're still going to fix that by the way, but let's just continue and add make also. So we add make also, go back and go to our saved movies. It shows an error that says SLIC is not a function. Sorry about that. Let's change this to slice. So all the movies that we just saved now. So while we're back here, let's just clear and see if this function works. So if you clear, all the movies will be removed. And if we go back here, go to fast X, click this, go back, go to our saved screen. We're going to see the movie right here. So let's just fix one or two errors that seems to be making our designer look just like how we want it here. So head back to our home and just click on this. We're going to say, why is this icon not changing to red? So here we're going to check back into our code and we're going to start from the state that we have here. Okay, it seems this is not supposed to be is save. This is supposed to be is favorite because, okay, we already have that already. So we're just going to remove this and this should work immediately. So as you can see, the icon has already changed to red. So if you head back and click on Barbie, and if you select this is changing to red. If you click it again, it is going to change to white. And that is just removing and adding the movie to storage. So if you select this again and go back to our saved screen, you're going to see Barbie right here. So let's just continue adding as many movies that we can. Let's add this as well. That should change to red. Also, let's save Kandahar. Click on that. Go back. Click on Retribution. Save that. Go back. Go to your saved screen and you can see all the movies that we have saved here already. Good. So, the only thing that we need to do here is just make sure that the background looks the same as what we have here. So, we're going to head back to our saved screen. And we're going to say where we're using the image, which is this. We want to use another image instead. So instead of our assets, images, we're just going to import the image 2. So instead of home screen 1, let's just use home screen 2 and save that. As you can see, that looks just like the background that we have here. So moving on. So it seems we fixed most of our issue here. So if we click on each of these movies, it's going to take us to the movie directory. So if we click on the how, it's going to show us the full information about the movie. If we click on back and you click on Barbie, it's going to give us the full information about the movie and the cast and the similar movies. And if you remove this, click on this, it's going to remove this movie. And if you go back, you're going to see Barbie has been removed and that works good and perfect. So the only thing we need to do right now is to make sure that the cast, we have a screen for them so that I can see their full information. So that is the next implementation we'll be making. And don't worry, we're still going to fix some of the designs that we have here, but the functionality is working great. And yeah, so let's get started with working with the person screen. So if we click on Gerard Butler, we're going to see the person screen. And if we just close this, and the person screen, this is where we're going to be working on the person screen. So to begin working on the person screen, we're going to make sure that we set up our API first, like we always do. We get our API ready so we can also just use them whenever we're working on the design. And by the way, this is the design that we'll be creating, and the design is for the cast screen. It shows their profile picture, the name, and all this information about them. So without delay, let's get started. So we're just going to collapse everything here first, and we're going to say inside of our utils movie API. After this, let's create our cast API to call to get the cast of the movie, and we're going to say const person details endpoint is going to take an ID, and it's going to take a backticks as well. And we can as well use this suggestion made by GitHub Copilot. And we're going to say API base URL, which is correct. And we're going to say also person with a unique ID and also query of API key, and that works just fine. And after this, we're also going to say the movie as well that the person created. So movie, not movie credits endpoints, but movie endpoint. And also this is going to be backticks, and let's use this suggestion as well. API base URL for the person, then their ID, and also the movie credits and the API key. This works, and also we're going to create a function to fetch this. So at the last part, we're going to say cast functions to fetch data. So we're going to say export const fetch person details is going to take an ID as the parameter, and also it's going to use the movie API call, and it's going to attach it to the person details function, which we just created right here. That works. Also, we're also going to say export const fetch person movie. So the movies that they worked on, fetch that as well and attach the ID to the function that we created above here. So we're ready to use this function, and inside of our person screen, we're going to jump right to the code and start designing this and also populating it on our screen. So first things first, we're going to destructure the parameters we are getting, and we're going to assign it to items. And after that, let's just make sure that we import use route from navigation, React Navigation Native. And also we're going to create a variable, and also we're going to create a state called is favorite. We're going to assign it to a use state, which is going to be false by default. And also we're going to say const navigation is going to be attached to use navigation. Let's just import that. And also we're going to say const person and set the person, and you're going to assign it to use state of an empty object. Also we're going to say const person movies. We're going to set it to person movies, and we're going to set it to an empty array. And the last state we're going to have is going to be called loading, and also set loading. We're going to set it to be false by default. That should fix that. So after this, we're going to create a function called const get person details, and it's going to be an async, but it will take an ID as the parameter. And also inside of this, we're going to say const data is going to be await fetch person details, and we're going to just import this. And once you get it, let's just console.log it and make sure that everything we are getting is correct. So got cast details, and also we are going to assign data to it. Then when you get data, you're going to set loading to be false, and if the data is true, then we're going to set person to be the data that we're getting. Moving on, we're going to say after this, create another function called const get person movies. We're going to assign it to an async. We're going to say const data is going to be await fetch person movies, and we're going to just console.log this as well. We're going to say got cast movies, and here we're going to say if the data is truly gotten, set person movies to data.cast, and all we need to do is just head over here and say use effects. We're going to set this like this. And first things first, immediately our page loads, we are going to set loading to true. And also we're going to call our function, and we're going to assign this item.id to be the parameter for this. And also we're going to say get person movies to be assigned item.id. And lastly, we're going to say every time the item is unique, you have to call the use effect. Then after this, we are ready to start styling our design that we have right here and using our person state and also our person movie state. So let's get started with that. So we're going to come down, and first things first, we're going to change this to a scroll view. Let's just import that. Hope it doesn't throw an error. Okay, we already have that imported, that's why it's not bringing it. So inside of this, we're going to say we want a class name, and the class name is going to be flex of 1, bg of neutral, and neutral is going to be 800, margin horizontal of 2, padding vertical of 26, and also we're going to have a container style, and this is going to be padding of bottom is going to be not 100 but 20. Save that. And after this, we're going to have an image. Let's just import that right away, and this image is going to have a source, and the source is going to be require. We're going to use not placeholder.png, but home screen one.png. Save that. And we're going to give this some now styling. We're going to say width is going to be width. Height is going to be not 200 but 100%. And also class name is going to be absolute. Save that. So let's just check pretty quick. Let's go to Meg 2, scroll up, click on JSON starter. And it's going to say use state doesn't exist. So let's just import that right away and see if we still need to import anything. I don't think so. So let's select blue B2, scroll up, click on solo. Width doesn't exist. Great. So we're just going to come here and say const the structure width from dimensions.get, but also import that as well. Also, we need to use the height, the structure the height as well, although we're not using the height right now. Let's just head back, click on the cast, and you see it right here. Let's just continue with our study and you see everything come up. Also, we need to add a relative here because we are setting this to be absolute of this. Save that and create a comment here that says close button, and this close button is going to have a view, and this view is going to say class name is going to be flex of row, justify between absolute, right of 0, top of 0, mx of 4, z of n. And after that, we're going to also say margin y of 3. And inside of this view, we're going to have a touchable opacity. And inside of this touchable opacity, we're going to say import that. We're going to say import that. And it's going to have an onPress. And this is going to have an arrow function that says navigation dot go back. Good. After this, we're going to say we want to use an X mark icon from React Native Hero Icons outline. And also we're going to say the size is going to be 28. The stroke width is going to be 2.5. The color is also going to be a string of white. After that, we are going to set some styling here for the touchable opacity. We're going to say class name is going to be rounded XL, padding of 2, background 2496 FF. Save that. And if we click on make to, we click JSON, you should see our X icon right here. And also before we leave here, we're just going to say resize mode is going to be cover. And you can see our X icon right here. If you click that, we're going to go back, and if we select Woojin, you're going to see it here. So let's just continue working on this. And under this, we're going to say the cast details. And the first thing we're going to check is if loading is true, then we are going to render the loading component. Else, you're going to render something else. And this is going to have a view. And in this view, we're going to have a class name, margin top of 24. And inside of this view, we're going to say we also want another view. And inside of this view, we're going to say class name is going to be flex of row, justify of center, space, space, x of 4. Save that. And inside of this, we're going to say view, class name is going to be items, center, rounded of large, overflow of hidden. And inside of this view, we're going to say image. Let's just make sure we import that. We already have it imported. It's going to have a source, and the source is going to be URI. We're going to use the, let's just remove this double quote and just bring this in very quick. And that should be our image path. And also, we're going to have a style here that says the width is going to be width multiplied by 0.35, and also height is going to be not width but height multiplied by 0.3, and the resize mode is going to be cover. Save that. Then after this view, we're going to have another view, and this is going to have a class name of margin top of 6. Width is going to be 1/2, which is half. Space is going to be y of 3. Then inside of this view, we're going to say we want a text, and this text is going to show the person dot name. We're just going to use an optional method there. I'll say this class name is going to be text 2xl, text of white, font of bold, text of left. Save that. And let's see what we're really working on. So we click on him. So the data is fetching, is saying loading, but we can't get anything. So we're just going to head back to our code and check. It says request field with status code 404, and that means we have an issue somewhere. So let's just head back to the top of our code and head back to where we are having the movie screen. And in the movie screen, where we're using our cast component, we're going to select this. And okay, it seems our issue seems to be we are using a curly braces here, and it's supposed to just be item that we should be passing. So if we close that and click on this guy again, you should see his image and also this right here. By the way, also before we head back, finally, when we select this, we cannot see the details, and we have to fix that immediately. So to fix that, we're just going to head back to our home screen, and inside of our trending movies, which is this, we're going to say, and inside of this, we're going to say we don't want to destructure this, or just use item as it is. So if we save that, I will select this movie right here. You see the movie here. Then that has been fixed. So if we just close the movie card, close the trending movie, the home screen as well, we're working on our casts. Is that right? No, we are not. Close that. Movie screen as well, close it. We are working on the person screen. So let's just minimize this as well. And you can see all our data here. So let's just minimize that as well. Our data is working, and let's select this. Let's check JSON profile. It's loading, and you can see his image here. So moving on, we're going to style this cast name, and we've added a little bit of styling here, but we still need to add text of white. And under this, we're going to have a text, and this text is going to say person dot popularity Then we are also going to say to fixed. We're going to fix it to two places, the popularity, as you can see here, two decimal points. And also we're going to have class name is going to be text of white, font of bold, text of base, text of left, P of 1, width of 50%, which is 1 over 2, and background of orange. Let's just use this and save that. You should see that right away. And after this, we're just going to add a percentage at the end of this. And we might as well just continue with our styling by saying duplicate this and call this person dot place underscore of birth. We're going to remove this percentage here and use an optional chaining method here. And you can see where they were born. Let's just remove this. And also, we don't need this. We don't need this at all. Okay, we need to have a text of left as well. So that works. After this as well, we're just going to duplicate this and say this is going to be person.birthday. We're going to show their birthday as well. And this stays the same. And after this view, we're going to have another view to show a little biography about them. And we're going to say this one has a class name. And it's going to be margin y of 6, mx of 4, space y of 2, text like this, and we're going to call this biography. Class name is going to be text of white, text of large, font of bold. Save that. And under this, we're going to say text. And inside of this text, we're going to use a curly braces to be saying person dot biography. If that is true, then just use person dot biography. Else, just say no, like this. So as you can see, their biography right here. Although we have a little design issue right here, we are just going to cut this and put this outside of this, and let's see if that works. That works. Moving on, we're going to say, and after that, we're going to say this as a class name, and the class name for this is going to be text neutral of 100, tracking of wild, leading with a single L of 6. Save that. And you can see their biography looking good already. So our design is almost ready. And if you check this, we only need to fix the background and also the movies that they have created. And before we leave here, we're just going to put these inside quotes. So that should work right away. We're just going to click on JSON and you see all our data here. So under this, we want to have the movies that they've worked on. We're just going to remove this text first and say under this text, let's have the cast movies. And after this, we're going to say if person dot ID and the person movies dot length is greater than 0, then that is when you should show this. And we're going to use popular movie card that we already created earlier. We're going to say this title is going to be called cast, and also we're going to say data is coming from person. Data is coming from person movies. Save that. And our cast screen should be 100% ready. So if you let that load, And if you scroll down, you're going to see the movies that this specific cast has worked on, as you can see. So these are all his movies so far. These are all his movies so far. And that looks great. So, and our cast screen is ready, and all we need to do is just check if everything works properly. As you can see here, this works good. So here in our movie details screen, we want to work on this design and make it look really cool. So we're going to head back to our screen, which is our movie screen right here. And first things first, we're going to say we want to remove something first, which is this. Let's remove this for now. And also we want to have a styling here that says margin top of minus of 98 and overflow of hidden. And you should see our design now, and this is already coming out. Just give it a moment to load. And as you can see, this is already looking cool already. And yes, I think that is the only thing we need to fix here, and our design is looking pretty already. This padding, why we can say it is 4, so as to make this move up a little bit. And also in our home screen, under inside top rated movies, we want to have a gradient under this text so that the white text will be able to be displayed properly. So we're just going to head back to where the image is, and we're going to bring in linear gradient, and that is going to be coming from Expo linear gradient. Let's check if we have it installed. So inside of our package.json, we're going to see Expo linear gradient. Good. So we're going to head back to, let's close this. And here we're going to say, okay, we're importing this. So after this is going to take some props. And the first prop is going to take his colors. And this colors is going to be an array of transparent as the first value here. And this is going to be 0.9. This, after this, we're going to say the style is going to be position of absolute. Bottom is going to be 0. Width is going to be 100%. Also the height is going to be 100%. The border, bottom left radius is going to be 24. And also border bottom right radius is going to be 24 as well. And finally, we're going to say the start is going to be x of 0.5 and y of 0. And also end is going to be 0.5 and also y of 1. Save that. And our code should work right now. So if we head back here, you can see the gradient under the text already. And this makes our text come out properly. If we just remove that, you see that there's a big difference there, as you can see right there. So if we put that back, you're going to see the gradient here. So I believe we are 100% ready with our movie app. So let's just do a final demo. So here we have a trending movie, and if you select any movie right here, you're going to see the full details about the movie. And if you select this is going to add it to storage and save it for further purposes. So if we click on back, select meg, and if you select this is already selected. Let's just scroll up and click on JSON, as you can see him right here, and his information, and also the similar movies or other movies here. And here you can see other movies he has created, and this is loading properly. So if we head back, close this, and also go back, and you can see the top rated movies. You can scroll through them, and also incoming movies, you can see them right here. If you go on search and you search for Top Gun, You're going to see the results for Top Gun in a moment, and you can see the results right here. And this, if we select this is going to take us to the movie. And if that doesn't work, then let's just fix something. Then if we go to our search screen, we're going to see, okay, the same error we had earlier in which we are destructuring the item. Let's just save that. Go back and select the movie again. As you can see, Top Gun Maverick and all the information related to Top Gun. You can see, and you can see the similar movies related to this as well. So if you click on Tom Cruise, you can see his profile right here and other movies he has created as well. So this works perfectly as it should. So if we go back, let's add it to the list. And also, if you go to our search area here, so movies doesn't have images, we can use a fallback image for that. And in the search, we're currently in the search, we're just going to say, or we're going to put a URL here. So we can go to the internet and say, just pick any image here and just select this. We're just going to copy the image link, bring this back. We're going to paste this inside of this. We're going to go back home. So in a moment, you should see it right here. So movies that don't have any image part, it's going to use that fallback image, as you can see here. So if we head to our saved movies, you can see all the movies that we've saved already. And this looks cool. And if you select Kandahar, you're going to see the information about Kandahar. And also you can see these similar movies. Some of them don't have a fallback image. So if you go to the movie screen and you head back to the similar movies right here, okay, we're using this. And in the image, and we can say if the image doesn't exist, use this fallback image as well. As you can see, that has been fixed. So whatever movie that doesn't have an image, it's going to use that. So if we go back, and also, I think that's the final thing that we need to do. So this brings us to the end of our development. And if you enjoyed this build, please remember to subscribe and give it a thumbs up button so that this can reach as many people in building this. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.